Hello and welcome to session 3, if you count session 0 of our Free from the Yoke game. This is a legacy game. It is built on the Legacy Life Among the Ruins engine, though this is a low fantasy game inspired by Slavic mythology and Slavic culture, and has a slightly different focus to it, has a little more of a focused framework for the play that we're doing. The GM has a kind of an oppositional character, or a character that the players play off of. My name is Lowell, pronouns he, him, and this is part of the Gauntlet Calendar, which is an online gaming club community. We have an app that helps us organize games and so on. We have a Patreon that supports that. We also do regular open gaming events. We have our next Gauntlet Community Open Gaming that's happening on the last weekend of February. It's a free event. We've got a number of GMs from the community that are putting on games, so that if you've not had a chance to play online, you want to try a new game, or you're curious about how we do games and how that plays out, you can sign up for that. That's sign up is starting on February 1st at noon Eastern. You may be watching this in the future, in which case I hope you attended. I'm just going to say that. So we have had a couple of sessions to set up. This is a game that has quite a bit of building. We've got our map. We've got our characters. We've got our houses. Going to have go around and have our players introduce both their house and their character, and then I'll frame up and talk about where we are in the story at that point. So I'm going to come back here. And Brian, let me start with you. Tell us about your house and your character.
Sure. My house is the Envoys of the Umot Alliance, which is an alliance of smaller nations, city-states, who have a presence in this other land. They are sorry. Some dog wrangling going on in the background. And yeah, I don't know if I should say too much more about them. They were brought in originally to this land by the horse lords. They kind of sheltered them, and then during the uprising against, is it just called the Empire that was overthrown? They I know took in refugees from some of the other houses, and my character is Ziv, and they are the ambassador. That is their character class, and their position within the house. And yeah, what can I say about Ziv?
What's their what would you say is they're really the leader here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I did put a picture of your sister in the NPCs tab. Amongst the many tabs that we have, I've added some pictures in on the NPC tab there.
Oh, nice.
I tried. You had a very sort of Renaissance thing, so I tried to find something with an equally stark sort of look there. Mm-hmm. David, tell us about your house and your character.
Sure. My house is the Keepers of the Old Runes. They're sort of they have a big kind of library school in this country. They trying to I don't know, they think of themselves maybe as up and comers politically. They keep the old runes, I guess, obviously, which is kind of magical words. My character is Stoina, who is maybe a younger, but kind of like a prodigy sort of thing, overly excited, very kind of loyal keeper right now. But I did have her as the rogue type, so setting her up to maybe be disillusioned by the end of her story, at least.
And the idea is that this is an ancient way, is this sort of old truth about these runes of the world, and your house is very much about protecting, maintaining, keeping those safe and stable in the world, right? And
Yeah.
kind of secret from others.
Yeah. It
Okay.
in the past has been abused by the Empire, according to the keepers themselves.
And of course, you've had this problematic exchange with the church in terms of the knowledge of the lore of those runes.
Well, yeah, they stole the rune from fire and
Okay.
never gave it back. So
Our records suggest this was a gift.
Excellent. And so that does bring us to the church itself, and let's hear about that.
Yeah, so the Church of Uncreated Fire came to this land among the slaves of the Empire, but it slowly made its way, into the imperial hierarchy, trying to redeem and or conquer the Empire from within. It was received a major setback during the revolution as the Empire, executed an entire conclave of our prophets. As a way of setting an example. This led to the church throwing its lot in with the arbiter, fighting against the empire, but we still are trying to recover from some of those losses in this new world, where we're hoping to spread the good word of the uncreated fire in this newly reforged land, but we had a setback even in our interactions with the arbiter, who has kind of slighted and overlooked us, and so we are looking to, make sure our status isn't imperiled by this.
What do you think? Before I have you talk about your character, what do you think? Is your faith the predominant one in the region? Is it one of several? Is there a clash between a couple of versions? How are you imagining that? I mean, we know that we have some old traditions, but our keepers of the old runes have taken a more pragmatic approach rather than a religious approach in some ways, at least the description that we've heard. But so what do you think that is like?
I think we're the only organized church. I think there are folkways and older traditions that exist without a formal hierarchy, right? And so from the church's perspective, those either need to be people either need to be converted from them, or find a way to fit those beliefs within the larger religious framework of the church. I don't think there's a rival institution. There's just other ways of being for the folks who aren't adherents to the church.
More animistic, local faiths and traditions, right? Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of, I guess, based on some of what we've learned about the keepers of the old runes, to be honest. So David, does that sound right to you, that there's there's a number of different kind of traditions of folk belief, including the people of the woods and whatnot, right? And keepers of the old runes are kind of the most scholarly of them.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Okay. So last time we went through the gathering, the court held by the arbiter at the turn of the seasons, and she met with each of the persons of the house, and I've skipped over Alexei telling us about his character, so I'm going to carriage return back. Alexei, your character, because I'm jumping all around.
No worries. Yeah. So real quick, Ivana is the Bogatyr playbook. That's a warrior playbook. She is a zealous warrior of the Church of Uncreated Fire. She was, in her youth, considered a candidate for the role of a prophet in the church, but she washed out. She's still, very devoted to the church, and now she serves it on the battlefield. She's missing one eye from a duel with another PC, Samat, the scout of the Horse Lords. but they seem to have a fairly cordial, if slightly tempestuous relationship despite all that.
So we have a project that is on the table, just that this is in the background, the consideration for the houses right now. And that is the building of this grand aqueduct that is intended to run from essentially the burnt pot from the volcanic mountains through the steppe to First Throne. And that is a project that people want to move forward. The way that it moves forward is essentially gaining surpluses and delivering them to the project. When you deliver them, they're removed from your reserves. You gain a favor, and we tick 1 point on that progress clock. Things can also go badly. Saboteurs, public statements against the work, something collapses, general calamities, any of those things can also tick up the doom track. Each of those has 5 ticks. Whichever one hits 5 first is what is going to happen, and that'll be kind of a turning of the age. Don't have to lean into those. You may have needs and things you want to set up for your house first, but they are a clock that is kind of in the background to consider. So last time, I believe that 2 situations were put on the table for various PCs here following speaking with Oksana, speaking with the Arbiter. One is the people of the Red Forest, who apparently have a more open approach to the uses of the runes and the elements, and they have not given their fealty over to the new regime. And who was it who was asked to go in and see to that matter?
I think it was Stoina, right?
Was it? And the other issue, then the other problem that is on the table is the question of these borderland ruins that lie to the south, that are an important old bastion that collapsed, and there apparently is something dangerous and disruptive in there right now. And I believe that was the task that was set to Samat, if I'm recalling correctly. So we're taking up, that's going to be the sort of character issue that we'll come back to. And we can decide how we want to frame that. Again, character actions, we can just narrate or we can zoom in on those. But I want to start at the house level. So we can take a look at that. The first thing, let's start with our envoys. And what are your needs right now?
Let's see. Our needs are recruits, coin, and luxuries.
Okay. And recruits, not a lot of people. Coin, wealth has been depleted, and luxury, you are living a little bare bones here. So what do you think the goal of your house? What do you think your house would be looking to do? Would it be looking to find out about other places? Would it be looking to see how to identify and draw out those resources that you put on the map at the start? What do you think?
Yeah, I imagine. Like in general, we're in favor of the grand project being completed, and I think part of what that grant project is going to accomplish is it's
Mhm.
going to be a way of transporting those goods from those resources from the center of the continent to the coast. And yeah, our goal is that our fair share of that gets shipped back to Umot.
Yeah. Do you want to say what one of those 3 diamonds is right now? And you can start by like looking at the resource list, and then we'll frame out what it actually is.
I mean, as far as so, I mean, either like a gold mine, or I don't know what some kind of luxury product would be. That would be
Luxury
fun as
is
well,
like silk or high art, culture, that kind of thing. The kind of goods, but let's say a gold mine. So which of those diamonds do you think is the gold mine?
That one right in the middle.
Okay. So here's what we know. This is a resource that your house knows exists in that area. So a typical move to do now would be to either send your character in if you wanted to zoom in that way, but we've got a move called Read the Wind, and this is our essentially figure things out for the house move, and it's rolled with reach. And that's the typical move. Now, when you go to do this move, someone else can help you, and essentially, when you involve yourself in the house, actions of a house, you have influence over. You give them a die. The other thing is you can call in a debt on another house if you have influence on them. You can spend that influence to gain advantage on a move that targets them, take a surplus from them, get them to back you up on something like get you to lend aid. So how do you want to approach that? Are you pretty good at reach for your family?
Yes.
Okay. Then let's go ahead and have you roll with reach.
We're getting upstaged.
I know.
Pretty badly. Like
interact with a baby or an animal.
Someone's a birthday girl, and she's
that's right.
swinging in. Say hi.
Hello.
That's a 12.
That is a 12. So what is the question you want to know? Based on the list that we have there, and they're pretty general.
How do we get access to? Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how to.
Well, let's take that first question. That how do we get access to? Because there are a couple ways to frame it, but let's take that. So you want to know how we get access to that gold mine, and I think what I'd like to suggest is that that your house knows of this valuable resource, but is maybe not widely known. And the way that you could essentially get that as a surplus you would add to this is if you can quietly persuade the people who are settling there right now. They don't know that there's a gold reserve there, and essentially there are a couple of villages, and while you could probably use more force to claim it, it's probably going to be easier to do some negotiations on that score. Does
Right.
that seem fair?
Like yeah. I mean, in the form of like offers of assistance to these people in exchange for, those not so valuable mineral rights.
You get to, when you do that, add something on the map. So if you want to like mark the village that is nearest to the gold mine, as a settlement, you can do that.
That makes sense. Let's see. And we've got images that will work for that. So I'll look for.
Okay. Let me come then to the keepers of the old runes. What is it that you have as your needs right now?
Good question. I have land and lumber.
Okay. So not a lot of ready access to land to extend settlements, and lack of lumber means lack of forestry. Where do you think the sort of stronghold for the keepers is on the map? Like, if we had to say this is the land of the keepers, is northwest, southwest, northeast? Where do you think?
Yeah, I think I had them set up in the library of the keepers.
Okay. So you've kind of got that area that lies south from the standing men to the red forest, probably.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit tighter. Probably others have control of the forest, which cuts off your supply of lumber. The Lake of Penitence is also directly to your north, kind of pinning you in there with the church. So there are some issues. So what is it you think the house wants to do? Move to securing one of those resources, working on a project for the arbiter, investigating things? What do you feel like they're most interested in right now?
Yeah, I guess we yeah, it might work out to try and I don't know if this translates into a move, but
We'll figure it out.
yeah. I think the Red Forest is where they're interested in, especially because they're kind of tasked with getting the people that live there
Mm-hmm.
kind of to pledge fealty, but also the Red Forest probably full of lumber.
Oh yeah. So we've got a couple of approaches to that, assuming that you don't immediately want to charge in with sword and shield.
No problem.
There's read the wind, which is our information gathering, if you want to use that to establish some things, or if you already know that you want to start undercutting these foresters, we do have the subterfuge move.
Reading the subterfuge real fast.
Brian, for the images, if you do insert and then pick the image, it'll drop on the map. Huge. It'll be huge. And then you have to shrink it down to the right size.
Yeah, I think I might be. I think their best bet is to try to kind of make themselves I don't know, seem important or like a good friend to the people of the forest, and hopefully some sort of alliance, but with the keepers on top.
Okay. So that feels like essentially you're kind of doing subterfuge to increase your status within there. Does that feel like a good way to read that?
Yeah.
Or are
that
you
makes
more
sense.
interested in doing information first?
Let's see. I guess if I were reading the wind, I would try to go for how would I gain influence over them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine with just, if you think it'd be better to just
yeah, kind of find some things out and work that. So subterfuge is done with sleight.
yeah, I think I'm not good at that, but I forget. Let me see. Well, I'm no better or worse at it. Let's
There
get
you go.
Well, I got a 3.
Got a 3.
Not great.
So, do you think it is that you send representatives to them to speak, or are they more subtle, like trading things? How do you imagine that looks?
Yeah, maybe they send some kind of researchers or something to maybe to share some knowledge or something.
And you will arrive, and your people, I mean, there's some connection because they use these runes as well. But when your people are there, they very quickly realize that the tenor of the area is different than they expected. Normally, these people have been welcoming and willing to talk, even though they have a different take on things. And I think that when you arrive, there is a leader who calls your people, uh, uh, brings them to the center and says, "We've spoken to the trees, we have read the signs, and we have seen what conflagration your house will bring to the land in the future. And we cannot permit that to happen. This forest is not for you or your people."
Gotcha.
And we will send a sign. And I think we cut there to the halls maybe a week later of the keepers of the runes, when the burnt bones of the researchers arrive back.
Oh wow, yeah.
And it's very clear. They say, "No one of your folk may step foot in these woods. This is the last we will speak of this."
Oh wow, yeah.
Does that seem fair?
Yeah, that's good.
Let's come to the church. What is it that you're interested in? What are your needs?
Our needs are crops and literature.
Okay.
But I think we have a score to settle first, actually.
Oh, do you now?
I think well, I think we were cast aside, undervalued at the arbiter's court in favor of the old nobility
Mm-hmm.
trying to creep back in and curry favor. So we're just gonna use a little subterfuge to find the dirty secrets of the old nobility, and start off there. Maybe roll it into some of our special house moves.
That seems good. So let's have you start with that. I imagine we maybe get a montage of your people talking to people, hearing, getting informants to come in, that kind of thing, overhearing.
Yeah, there's probably probably the word goes out, coming down from the hierarchy that kind of that the old nobility needs to be cleansed of its sins, and so the the kind of at the local churches, the discontented servants or disenchanted younger sons who aren't going to inherit anything are kind of like coming to share what they know with the the friendly priests and servants of the Church of Uncreated Fire.
Why don't we have
So-
you? Yeah, let's have you roll that sleight.
We're hoping to cause a scandal within the house's organization. So I'm going to make a roll here of 2d6 plus 2. What?
What
That's
was that
that's
roll?
a 4.
That was
Let's
a
say,
4.
I rolled snake eyes, so that's a miss, I suppose.
That let me open link. I just want to check something here. Make sure you didn't roll 2d2 because Sherry does that quite a bit. On the
Oh,
roller.
yes, I did.
Okay.
I did roll 2d2.
Good.
Can I try again here?
Yes, you may.
I just assumed d6 would be the first.
I know,
Would be the first
we
stop.
have the same problem every time. I may have to have John Grimm swap those around. Yeah.
Thank you for not leaving me to sweat there. As I'm like, wow, what a roll. Okay, let's try this one. Try this again. Hey, see, that's better.
That is.
That's a 7.
So you will. This is basically you're going to find out a secret, and I'll give you what that is, and then you can decide whether you want to hide it to gain influence over them, or whether you want to reveal it to cause them problems. And then we'll talk about the 7 to 9 pick on this because we have to choose. Which one we'll do here.
Yeah.
Oh, so David, do you want us to roll back on your move as well?
I'm okay with letting it stand. That was
Okay. How about
pretty
this?
epic result.
I will give you advantage to your next house move. So roll 3d6 and take the 2 highest to maybe make up for that.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about it, but that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
When you said that, I was like, I wonder if I did that too. Yep, sure did.
One of the things that you will hear as a concern that comes from especially these younger nobles from the houses is the fact that a number of family members have been amongst the nobility have been taken ill, and they say they won't talk with us about it. We have the sense that this is something old, but they won't tell us what it is. And all I know is, my cousin in the middle of the night was bundled up and then he was gone. And you get this repeated. And you will find that apparently there is some kind of malediction or curse of some kind that is clearly concerning to the nobility, and they are when younger members are taken by it, they are bundling them to an old fortress castle kind of hidden away, and they're doing
hiding
great
their
deal.
shame.
Yes. So you know that the shame exists. You don't know the full dimensions of it, let's say, but you know it's weaponizable, as it were.
I think we'll immediately weaponize it.
Okay.
Well, let me tell you what I'm thinking, and you tell me
Sure.
if I'm playing by the rules here. My church's influence move is when you publicly condemn a group for their sins, hold 1. Publicly absolve them of their sins and spend the hold to get influence on them.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think we're going public with this. I think we're, from every pulpit in the land, condemning the nobles for their shameful, dealings in the dark, and demanding answers for what are they hiding at this old fort, and saying, only when they come clean and confess can we give them absolution and admit them again into the rights of the church.
And do you think that this is something that you're working on this project slowly? We won't be able to have this go off until the start of the next season, or do you want this now and are willing to take the turmoil?
Let's look at the 7 to 9. Let's take the turmoil.
Okay.
The way I described it sounds like uncertainty and turmoil are probably being seeded, doesn't it?
There is shock and fear amongst the nobility, and it will come out that there is a magical curse, a malediction, essentially a kind of lycanthropy that has
Hmm.
been sparking out amongst the nobility, and I think what happens is that the nobles are discomfited, and there's a lot of arguing, and then a mob uh, 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 goes and sets torch to the fortress,
Hmm.
uh, which then looses some of these folk out into the countryside, and also comes, and I think then that the we'll call them Oscar, the probably the most senior of the nobility, uh, you know, puts on a hair shirt and walks on his knees the 2 miles to the shore of the Lake of the Penitents. Mind you, he has an entourage with him, um,
Oh yeah,
but
of course.
it's a ceremonial thing, and he comes to beg for the forgiveness and the hope that the church can help rid them of the burden of this curse.
Yeah, I think we send out the youngest of the conclave of prophets, like a boy of 10, to stand in front of the kneeling noble and uh, uh, kind of like leave him hanging for a good you know several minutes before pronouncing the absolution of the Church of Uncreated Fire.
And there will be applause, gifts are brought, are given, and you have the sense that the nobility have placed themselves in your grasp, so you may take influence over the old nobility here.
All right. I will add influence over the old nobility for absolving them for their lycanthropy secret.
So let's come back to our character, our house that sort of has a task on the table here, and that is you, Stonia. Um, uh, you asked some of the others to come with you, I believe.
Yeah, I think I was. She was going to kind of get an escort of these two warriors.
Okay. Let's do this since Alexi stepped away. Let's take like 7 minutes. We'll take our break here. And then when we come back, we'll figure out how we want to, if we want to zoom in on that or how we want to handle that. Sound good?
All right. Yeah, that sounds
Okay.
good.
All right. So let's start with your character and with Stonia. See what you want to do, how you want to focus that, and then we can see what um, you want to head there. Would either or both of you like to accompany Stonia on this trek into the woods?
I feel like at the end of the last session, we had set up the idea the characters might be all traveling together.
Mm-hmm.
Because the place where the scout is going is in the same direction, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So Ivana's there, to provide protection to hopefully help with this horse lord relocation and gain favor from the arbiter. But as it happens, that means she's also around for the Red Forest mission, if that works for folks.
Okay. And what do you think for Ziv? Is Ziv going along, or do you want to do a quick character? What do you think?
No, I mean, I think Ziv has a strong interest in the people of the forest, so
Okay.
makes sense for them to go.
Ziv has a secret family in the people of the forest.
That's right.
So
Yes.
I guess you could call that a strong interest.
So we will take up with essentially we're on the road. That travel that kind of comes then from First Throne south of the steppe towards the Red Forest. Tell me, let's actually start with you, David. On this journey, what's one obstacle or hurdle that you early on you have to overcome in the group of you?
Oh, interesting.
So is this for a montage?
Yeah.
Cool. So we don't need to think about, can we actually roll the dice to do this?
Right. Now this is all
Just describe
this is all
it happening.
narrative
Nice.
montage.
Let's see. Oh, maybe it could be just especially since we maybe don't have our scout with us. Maybe it's a matter of finding adequate transportation, like animals or something.
Yeah, especially given that the court has been going on, a lot of those things have been taken up, and as you head out, you would normally grab onto the horse or so on to do that. So what does Ziv do to help that situation? How does Ziv solve this problem?
I mean, Ziv is about making connections with people. There's got to be someone who, or you know what, Ziv's house has a boat. Maybe there's some kind of trade, or like, hey, you use our boat for now. And
oh yeah, well, it is.
How do you make use of those things?
Any of those assets that you have, when we zoom in, you're considered to have access to those. So what we'll say then is that there is some kind of river that runs along that south of the steppe, that you're looking for, horses and so on. And I think then we see, Ziv's people calling to you, and he has a riverboat, a beautiful and ornate, and a crew to manage it. What's your reaction to that, Ivana?
Of course, Ziv has a riverboat and a crew to man it. Should never underestimate you, old friend.
Yeah, and so you load onto that, and you'll head along the river. I'm assuming it's the slow moves. There's probably some of the like uh, uh, having to punt and paddle at certain places, and making your way along. Brian, what's a few days of travel via boat? What's the next obstacle that you face on this journey?
Hmm. Um, I think there's a bridge that was maybe intentionally collapsed during
Mhm.
the conflict, and it's blocking the river.
So Ivana, how does your training, your house's pull, uh, allow you to get past this? Do you have to ditch the boat? Do you have some way around this? What do you think?
The obstacle is the bridge has been intentionally collapsed
Yeah.
to block the river, to block the river.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
I think the bridge was collapsed to prevent, maybe troops moving across easily, that kind of thing. But now it's
probably the site of a great battle. We probably see the old broken spears and things like that, and the markers for the funerary rites on the side. It's an old place.
Yeah, I think we dock the ship for the night, on the riverbank in front of this obstruction, and Ivana kind of says, "Let me let me take a closer look," right? And she like goes out on like a little rowboat, and from the boat, all the rest of you just see there's like a moment where a little like a pillar of fire rises up, and then when the rowboat comes back, she says, "It should be all clear now." And there's just ashes on the water where the obstruction used to be.
And I think probably when this is at night when you do this, and when you do move along, I think the ripples of that kind of magic. I think we'll see the ghosts along the
Hmm.
shoreline, watching as you go past, because that kind of calling, that kind of magic wakens those things. And you'll sail on further a few more days. Uh, uh, so what is the sort of the last obstacle before you reach the Red Forest? Do you have to disembark the boat and get off? Does it come fairly close to the forest? What do you think?
Is this for me?
Yeah, this is for you, Alexi.
Yeah, I think the river stops being practical, right? Like it turns into a little rivulet or something where we can't keep sailing. So we have to travel the last distance on foot, and we are we like after a long day's journey, we're tired and caught off guard by the bandit ambush.
And Stonia, uh, how is it that you deal with, find a way around, trick, negotiate? How do you solve the problem of this bandit ambush?
Ooh, interesting. Hmm. Let's see. Maybe. Okay, so I said that she was kind of like sketching and drawing everybody last
Uh-huh.
time, I think. So maybe as they kind of just they have greater numbers and they overpower us, even with what our warrior here, Ivana.
Ivana.
But when they're going through Sonia's stuff, they see this journal with all these drawings in it, and the leader of this band is like, "Oh, you can draw this? give me a drawing of myself, and kind of endears it.
Yeah, and he says, I need you to make me look very, very handsome.
Yeah.
There is a woman, and I must send a picture. So can you do this?
And I think she's like, well, it's a very hard skill. I could do it. I could actually make you look quite good. But
Mhm.
I mean, we'll have to. I mean, if we don't have our things, I won't be able to do anything. I guess. Can't help you unless.
You're scholars and unimportant to us. But give us this picture, and we will let you go.
And she's like, all right, I guess, yeah, I can make this work.
And they will take it. And there is a certain respect for the art. Besides the runes, the enacting of a picture is an important thing. And he seems pleased. Some of the bandits are probably a little disappointed as their stomachs grumble, but they do steal some of your bread. Then you will find yourself perhaps a day out from the Red Forest. Now, let me talk about assets and gear. We're kind of zooming in. When we go down to that level, each of you should have 3 things that you have. There were 4 choices, and you had to pick 3 of those from that. And when you prepare and provision, your house outfits your character. You get the stuff that's listed there, plus each surplus that you have. You can say, I'm going to tag this surplus to get a new piece of gear that I don't have on my list with the tag, or you can get a bunch of copies of something. So like if you wanted, everyone wanted to have swords, you could say everybody has that. Or you could put a tag on an item to make it better. This is one of the more
that doesn't use up the surplus in any way.
Doesn't use up the surplus. It's just a thing.
Just a bonus.
Yeah. This is one of those places in the game that is a little granular. So typically I ask people to kind of take a look at those and invoke them when you think they're appropriate, and kind of make note of that. So we'll use it a little bit like how Blades in the Dark does gear. That if you think, oh, I'm going to use this to do this. But the one question will be, we've seen for example, now we've seen the boat that our envoy has had. That's had that present on the thing. One of the questions is about people that you would have brought with you. You have the opportunity to do that. For example, you have, for the Keepers of the Old Ruins, you have philosophers. Do you think that when you've gone on this journey into the Red Forest, you have taken your philosophers along with you, Stonia?
Probably not. I think she might be, well, as far as she counts as a philosopher, I think she's trying to go incognito, especially based on this last reaction to going to the woods.
Yeah. And this is just kind of a general question. It's Ziv, do you think you have outriders? Do you think that they are along with you?
Yeah, I imagine they were the crew for the boat.
Okay. So we've got them. They are, what makes them shadowy? Like that's a tag for them. So what do we see on screen that makes us go, ooh, okay?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. What do you see? What do you see on screen that shows that they're very good at not being noticed?
Well, or that makes them look a little more sinister, maybe a little more out of place than your usual folk here.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think they're very good at just blending in. So, I mean, maybe if you want like the visual, it's just those moments where you turn around and they're just already there, and you're like, how
Perfect.
much of that conversation did they hear? And like, yeah, probably all of it.
Short cloaks, blades, things kind of kept under wraps, but quiet there. What about for you, Ivana? Have as the kind of people with you, healers and carers. Do you suppose that you've brought some of them along with you?
I think so.
Okay.
Like always good in a pinch to have access to some good old Church of Uncreated Fire healing remedies.
So let me ask you this then, Stonia. Why is it called the Red Forest?
I think it's the tree trunks. I think it's the deep red wine color of the trunks of all the trees.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I jumped in and took that.
That's
answer.
okay.
That was,
Are you okay with that,
for David.
David?
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay. Well, David, let me come to you then. We've got these bright red trees that we've got various shades from all the way that kind of deep chestnut red to a more bright, almost like leaf-like red on these woods. The wood from here is probably quite highly valued. What are the way paths here? Is there a formal road into this place, or is it bramble and hidden? How hard is it going to be to get in to the woods, into the forest, and how dispersed do you imagine that is?
Oops. Let's see. Okay. Well, let me know if this is too high fantasy, but maybe it's like really dangerous on the ground. Maybe there's some kind of like predators or something.
Okay.
And so it's common knowledge that the safest thing to do is you've got to climb like halfway up these trees or like even to the top, and these branches and things are so big that they are able to support people. So you can make it like it's not the safest thing to do, but it's way safer than traveling by ground through this forest.
It probably they've built some old bridges and spider work of ropes and things like that. So it is a combination of the age of the trees and this thing that has grown up over time. But we do definitely have that weird sight of you having to find. They clearly don't make it easy for outsiders to come in. You do have to find a good tree, find their markers, and climb your way up into. Do you think that Stonia is a good climber?
Yeah, I see her as being pretty good.
Okay. So she's shimmying up that. Ziv, what, you have a family here. How did that come about?
I mean, I think I think before actually becoming the ambassador,
Mm-hmm.
Ziv was kind of an ambassador in training, but had a lot more free time, and they were told to travel around and get to know as many people as possible, and knows maybe that's why the envoys know about this gold rich region that not many people know about. It's because their people are always traveling around a lot and looking for that kind of information. So I think Ziv came to these woods at one point when they were younger and kind of fell in love with the place and the people, and these things happen.
How long has it been since you've been here?
I don't think I think they've probably been there fairly well with the conflict and whatnot. It would have made it hard, but I mean, probably as soon as the conflict was over and things were a little bit settled down,
So
but
you've
probably not for very long. Like, I think before things got tumultuous, Ziv would come here for a month at a time,
Mhm.
at least. It's been quite a while. It's been, much shorter visits.
So one or two sparse visits since the time.
Right. I mean, there's
of
probably one where like Ziv showed up and then like the next day had to leave. At least one of the visits was that short, but that kind of thing. But
And so Ziv, you kind of know a little bit about the pathways and the markers here moving along. And you are traveling on those great high branches. And you will find that your way is kind of blocked because one of the trees that was kind of a junction point is actually down. And that's meant that some of the walkways and such that would be the normal path and road that you would take have collapsed. And it's a big old tree, and from here it's hard to see what happened. But the group of all of you is kind of brought to a halt. Stonia, this is your expedition in some ways.
Yes, and Ivana is looking at Stoinia. What? So, what are you going to do, Lore Master?
Sorry, what was the situation again? There's just like the people.
So you've been moving along these branches and these sort of built up rope bridges and things, and you've got to a point which would have been like crossroads, but the tree that would have been that connection, that main tree, is down, and all of those crossroads have collapsed, and so you're kind of up in the canopy like, okay, what do we do now?
Gotcha. Let's see. So is there is there something that she like has been taught about this? Maybe is there like a move related to that?
Well, we
Or,
could do there are a couple of ways that we can do this. If you wanted to do it magically, you could say, I want to try and do a ritual that does this. You would make up what it does and
that's
go and roll for it. They get you a bane, potentially. There's some potential cost because you're invoking the powers. The other one is we've got an unearthed forgotten lore, which is kind of our figure things out move for situations like this. If you want to look at what kind of moves you want to lean into.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and I was just noticing when I do that provision thing, I get, or I know a ritual already. So maybe
Okay.
yeah, maybe something like that. Is there like we can just kind of make them up as we go?
Yeah. So if it says that you know a ritual, let's make up what that ritual does. What do you think this ritual of the land that you start out knowing gives to you?
Yeah, so I think maybe specifically because she knew she was coming here, maybe there's some sort of ritual that I'm thinking almost like making things grow or flourish very fast.
That seems so you want to essentially, yeah, okay. Then let's have you go ahead and make that roll with lore.
Yeah. Oh, maybe it's the actual word for flourish. That's what it is.
Okay.
Or like growth or something. But yeah, let's see. I believe my lore is good. You would think. Yeah. Okay. +2. Oh no, a 6, and I made sure to.
Okay.
I was rolling the right dice, so still.
So one of the interesting things in this game is for house moves, you have to get help ahead of time. For character moves, you can get help after the fact. And that is essentially after failing to roll as well as you'd like, you can say what a character nearby can do to help you. And if the group agrees, the helper says what they do, and they'll roll an appropriate stat. So you can draw them into it. Of course, this is a ritual roll. So there will be a bane, and they will be subject to the fallout from this. So you can take the hit, or you can ask for help.
Yeah. Any volunteers?
What sort of help do you need?
Essentially, magical support. Stonia would need someone, to lend their strength magically to them.
I can lend strength. I don't know how well the disparate traditions of our houses will work together.
And you've got some weird magics.
Yeah, our magic are explicitly not drawn from the land, but instead from sorcerous fire.
Do you want to try and do that?
Stonia, what do you think?
Oh, I would love that. Yeah, that sounds.
All right, let's give it a go.
Have you roll?
What do I roll?
You
Sorry.
will roll with lore.
Okay. Yes, after failing to roll as well as you'd like. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And I said lore is an appropriate stat. You could then make an argument for, well, I think this is really more about my bravery or something like that. This is the point at which you wheedle.
No, like if it's literally two magics going together, if I'm like adding the prayers of the Church of Uncreated Fire here, then I think it's got to be lore. So it's going to be a flat roll. Is the upshot of this? So let's see what happens. 7.
Okay, so that bumps the result up by one category. So it goes from a fail to a 7 to 9. On a 7 to 9, you get to choose a blessing, David, and then I will choose a bane that will potentially affect you and Ivana.
If you feel it's appropriate, I have like special banes specific to the church, thanks to my heretic doctrine move.
Oh yes,
interesting.
I do know that.
So, and just to to give color to the fiction, I think Ivana is like kind of praying along with you, right? And she's saying, I'm one with the fire, and the fire is with me. I'm one with the fire, and the fire is with me.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think this makes the blessing pick pretty easy then. I think especially with this fiery sorcery involved, it's got to be more powerful than normal.
And I think that, we will see that those flames go out. And it's not unlike how when someone places flame onto a wound to cauterize it and like cleanse the wound, there is something of that kind of pushes and burns and regrows. And the color of the plants, then the limbs are different. We can tell that it is unnatural, but you will raise up a kind of a canopy to cross here. What does it feel like? Stonia, is this the first time that you've had this other magic channeled through you?
Yeah, I feel like it has to be. This is like the field test for this.
What does it feel like?
Yeah, I think when she does the rituals normally, maybe or the rune rituals, I guess. It's very much like, oh, put this here and then, leave it, and eventually the rune will activate, or, its true nature will be revealed. But I think with this influence or the influx of kind of sorceress energy, it makes it happen immediately, like almost as soon as she's done like creating the rune, maybe.
Yeah. And the branches keep growing like further than you maybe wanted them to, and they will reach out and envelop and grab onto trees. And I think that you will feel this ill wind come through the leaves here, come through the canopy. And what light is coming from above goes away and darkens. And you can feel the air electrify as suddenly this storm rolls in and begins to just pour down on you. Ziv, you know this area, and I assume you want to help get them like to someplace safe pretty quickly. Do you want to get them to the ground? Do you want to try and get them to the closest village? What do you think?
Well, not to the ground. we established that's not safe. But
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know that the closest village is gonna.
Do you think you know of some way stations or something around here that you could get to?
Yeah, just someplace safe to.
So this is kind of an overcome action. In this game, it's called disarm. Essentially, it's when you use actions, heroics to de-escalate a dangerous situation, you roll bravery. So why don't you go ahead and do that?
Sure. 7.
7. So you've bought some time, but you have to choose one. Safety demands a sacrifice. It's only temporary and the danger will soon return, or the danger is still present but threatening someone or something else.
I guess it is temporary safety.
Okay. So I think we get that shot of you and your compatriots rushing along this black branched bridge that you've created, that is a spark of the uncreated fire in this sacred woods that has been planted here, a seed, as it were, the equivalent of slash and burn agriculture in some ways. And you will find your way to a way station, but it is pouring down, and I think that you end up the three of you stuck there, essentially waiting for this storm to pass. And as you are waiting, the three of you, the people, you're kind of on lookout, you hear something moving down below at the ground level, bigger than a bear. It moves, and you can hear branches crack and things snap even over the sound of the storm. And it moves and circles around the base of the tree that you are taking refuge in, and then gets quiet, and you're not sure whether it's left or it's waiting.
Ziv,
Yes.
you mentioned something about predators that live in this forest. What was that?
You seem to already know the answer to your question. And I think
What?
I'm gonna.
What should I be picturing, Ziv? Is
Well, come with me, and maybe you'll actually get to spot it yourself. And I'm gonna unsling my short bow
Okay.
and see if I can't spot this thing to take a shot at it and drive it away.
Absolutely.
rumbling under her breath, Ivana is going to come along with Ziv.
So
If it gets close, then it's your job to get rid of it.
you're up high in the canopy of tree in this kind of tree fort way station. Rain is still coming down. You kind of move out. You can hear the of thunder, lightning. That's like the light that you get is the flash of the lightning that will come through once in a while. You kind of get down, move over to the edge again. It's dark here, and you two are kind of trying to position yourself so you can see what this is, but not be seen.
Yeah, I'm assuming it was moving around, and then wherever I heard it last, it's like trying to be patient and wait us out.
Yeah, that does seem like probably what's going on with this thing. And so we will see you lean and gather yourself. Stonia, what are you doing while this is going on?
I think she is very interested and curious about this, but also I don't think she's any kind of hunter or anything. So she is definitely staying back, like probably in the tree.
Okay. So you two are there on the edge of this thing, looking down, bow out, and waiting. It's dark here in the woods. And I think there will be this flash of lightning. And that's when you will see this thing. And you will see it is down below, and it is probably 14, 15 feet at its shoulder. And I will show you what it looks like. And it is standing there. It has that axe, and it is kind of hunched, and it is sniffing the rain, trying to maybe figure out where you are. Ziv, do you wish to shoot it?
That's the plan. I don't need to kill it. I just need to convince it that we're not worth the trouble.
Okay. So this is fiercely assault. So this thing is down there. Ivana, have you ever seen anything like this?
Only in nightmares.
And what do you say when you see Ziv? He doesn't pull back. Ziv readies his bow to put a shot into this thing.
Ashes of the ancestors, Ziv. Are you joking?
You think it's less likely to leave if we leave it in peace? It's got the scent of us.
And Ivana, tightens her grip on the hilt of her, ceremonial sword. She does not believe you're going to drive it off with one shot here.
Ziv, roll with might.
It's a 7.
It is a 7. So you get to choose one as you shook. This arrow flies through and hits this thing probably in the cheek. Certainly a painful shot. and definitely you will wound it. You get to choose one from the character list, and then I choose two.
Your avenue of escape is clear.
Absolutely. So in the flash of that lightning, as you fire that off, it kind of stumbles back, and you will see, as you kind of look up, you'll realize, better where you are. If you can make your way, there are a set of bridges to Crimson Village. You're closer than you thought you were. If you can gather everybody up quick and get moving, maybe you can stay ahead of this thing. You know that the villages there are warded. But I think that you hear it bay, and then you'll hear returning calls, like a call and response of that. And then, and even as it kind of does that, and it looks, and then you hear this, and this axe comes flying through the air, and into your shoulder. Do
I'm
you have
gonna
any?
block that.
Okay. I will let you do that. Do
'Cause
you have a
I
character
take-
move particular for that?
I took the tag defensive for my sword when I prepared and provisioned, and it says sacrifice this tag to intercept a blow hitting you or someone within arm's reach, negating all harm.
What does that look like? How do we see this? And it's a massive axe, and it's through the air. Look up. We know it's going to hit Ziv in the face. What do we see you do?
I think we just see the axe, and then we hear a clang, and then like Ziv looks and sees that Ivana drew and swung the sword just in time to knock the axe away, so it buries itself up to the shaft in the tree.
Stonia, you see this happen outside.
Yeah, I think she's she's just furiously taking notes, even in the dark, just like, this is incredible. This is gonna be such a story to bring back. And then maybe after hearing these returned animal noises of more of them, she kind of stops writing and she's like, maybe we should be moving along though.
Do you take off? Ziv, do you lead and rush them?
Yeah.
So it's a mad dash along these wet, dark branches, but you know some of the markers, and we will see all of you rushing along, trying to keep your balance. You hear the baying of these until we see you finally hit a place where there are carven markers, like branches and things that have been carved and marked, and you can see that we finally get almost like a stairs, a kind of rope bridge stairs that goes down into this village that is walled, wooden walled, a palisade around it, and you can see that there are people moving because that baying is still coming along, and the three of you plus your healers, plus your followers, go rushing down into this place, and there are a group of villagers here who will kind of call out as you rush in, and they will shout, "Who are you? Why have you come? What have you brought? What have you brought with you?"
We come in peace. Ziv, you're supposed to be doing this part.
We were being chased by the. Do I know what the name that they have for these?
No, this is not like anything
Okay.
you've seen before.
There were beastmen.
Kind of looks at you, looks at the others, sees how foreign you all look here, and he's about to say something when you will see some people come forward. They've clearly heard sort of the accent in this, and you will see this woman. She comes forward and she says, "Normally you send word that you are coming."
There wasn't time.
She looks at the two young women you have with you, and who are these?
I'll offer a hand. I'm Ivana, Sword of the Church of Uncreated Fire. Pleasure to make your acquaintance.
She doesn't hold out her hand. She just looks at you and then looks back at Ziv, then turns to Stonia.
And I think she, yes, seeing that the hand wasn't taken, she maybe just does like a, I don't know, I'm thinking maybe like a curtsy kind of thing. Just like, and I'm Stonia, just here to record this interesting occasion.
Whisper to Ziv, am I supposed to curtsy or bow here?
Try both. They've been sent by Oksana, the Arbiter. She's turning her eyes to this forest. They and I'll look at Stonia and Ivana. I hope we'll be advocates for you when they return to the Arbiter.
And she will gesture for all of you to follow her through the village. There's clearly a lot of hesitation on people's part here, but they will bring you in there. And how old is your child, Ziv?
So the conflict, like when did that begin? Like how many years ago? Because
I don't know how many years ago it began. I know it ended about a year and a half ago.
Right. It's like whenever it started.
How long do you want to say?
They were, an infant. So.
Do you think they're 8 or 9? Do you think they're a teen now? Are they younger?
Let's say 12.
Okay. So you are brought in. She, doesn't introduce your son to them because she's clearly uncertain what's happening. But she will sit you down and she will say, "This is not a good time for outsiders to be coming here. You have passage for reasons, Ziv, but others, this is not a good time."
Then all the more reason to quickly come to agreement with them so that as I said, they can return to the Arbiter and explain that to her.
I can call the elder here, but I do not think that I do not think that this is going to bode well for you. The elder has called down retribution and destruction upon the keepers of the old rooms. And I suspect from there may look further to the church, to other things, to keep them out of the forest. Our oracles have seen disaster if the keepers and the church both are allowed in to the forest.
I've arrived here with reasonable people who can be talked to. The arbiter is not going to leave the forest untouched without explanation.
Nirvana tries a disarming smile at this point.
That disaster is in the offering. I would not be surprised. This is our best chance to avoid that outcome.
Stay here tonight, rest. We'll wait for the storms to pass, and I will call for the elder to speak to all of you in the morning. But what if he says that you must go, you must go. If he says something else, then we will have to follow what he says.
Something else like throw us a feast, right?
I'm sure that could be among the possibilities that could happen. You've been quiet, scholar.
Oh, I just don't want to impose. I know these are very important things happening here, and I hope we do get to meet this elder too.
Is the first time that we have had two representatives of the church here. I'm sure he will wish to ask questions.
And Soina kind of looks at Ivana, just like side eyes, like, yes, I'm sure.
Ziv, will you stay here tonight?
Yes, of course.
Then I will return to my house and I will speak to you in the morning. And I think your outriders, as soon as she is gone, kind of move to a position to kind of set up watches, you know, and guard the doors and all of that kind of thing. And you have a chance for the three of you to talk about what has just occurred.
Ziv, who is that woman to you?
She's of great importance to me. The people of this forest.
Yeah, it would be helpful to know exactly what you've dragged us into the middle of here.
I'm not the one casting dark rituals, twisting the sacred forest. I don't know that you
Excuse me?
have any standing to complain.
The uncreated fire is the source of all light. It is not dark.
That's not what I saw.
Just take a deep breath. Stoina, you aren't curious? You don't want to know about whatever secrets Ziv has been keeping from the rest of us this whole journey long?
And then yeah, and she actually knows this, if I remember correctly. So she's like, oh well, and I feel she's a terrible liar too, obviously, but she's like, well, I guess everyone deserves their privacy. I'm sure if there's something Ziv wants to tell us, they'll do it.
I have secrets in every corner of this land. That's my job. I'm sorry if that disturbs you.
Whatever. I think we need some sort of juice that the elder doesn't decide to leave us to the wolves or worse tomorrow.
Did we get any sense that they knew what I was talking about when I talked about the beastmen that chased us here? You're muted.
Yes, she didn't address it. She avoided the topic, kind of
Right.
went obliquely
But
by it.
wasn't surprised by it. Yeah.
Right.
Aware. Okay.
Looks like they have a bit of a beast problem. Maybe that's a place where we could offer assistance, and gain a little favor.
And
We
very
should know
curious
first
about
for certain if they preferred you to those beasts first. I'm not certain of that.
I think Soina's like, yeah, I'm very curious about these oracles too, and what exactly they think the church and the keepers are so dangerous for.
And I'm going to, after that long pause, I'm going to cut forward to the morning here. Actually, let's take 5, and then we'll cut to morning. Okay.
Oh, and Lowell, real fast before we do break, I do have this move where when I rest in, actually, I don't know if this qualifies then, but when you rest in wilderness outside modern civilization, I can spend an insight to dream of ancient lore and get a vision. But I also don't know how to spend insight.
So insight is a resource that you generate with your other move, right?
Yeah, I might not have it actually then.
Let's see here. So it's spend 1 insight. Let me take a look at that, because you should have that. I think we had this issue before about the unclear of that. Why don't we take a break and I'll look that up for you, okay?
Okay, yeah. I just wanted to point that out before.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
I think it could be useful to have a vision before we
yes.
try and parlay with this
exactly.
Unsympathetic audience. All right.
Cool.
Oh, basically it's when you rest in the wilderness, it's supposed to be you dream of ancient lore and gain a vision. That's a resource. You can spend 1 vision to gain advantage on enacting a ritual, or you can spend 3 of it to learn a ritual. That's the ancient magic uncovered. The text is miswritten because there were several different versions of this, and some of this text comes from a play sheet version versus the actual text there.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes
so
sense.
yeah, you can do that. We can do that, and then you can have advantage forward if you want it for any ritual, and we can kind of describe what that is when you get back.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Stonia, how? I mean, you are here in this woods, but you're now here in this house. So where do you go outside of this house to like be closer to the wilderness to get this vision? It's a walled palisade, kind of palisade around this town, but there are lots of trees that reach down into it. So what do we see?
Yeah, maybe she actually, even though if she's even offered like a house to stay at, maybe she does like climb up and sleep in one of these trees. Like yeah, that could be interesting.
And so you will get a vision. And essentially, mechanically, again, this will allow you to, you have this vision, you can hold on to it. It's a resource you can hold on to. You can save it up to eventually learn a new ritual, or you can spend it to give yourself advantage. But I think that you will see the woods and the trees and that kind of shifting back and forth between seeing the individual trees and seeing the forest and kind of moving down into it. And you see things in their absolute way. Like you see the rune for tree, and you see the rune for the ground and so on. And I think you see those all around until you see a place and there are people working, and you see them bending a rune and turning it and working it and twisting it. And there's a moment when they kind of turn it and like 2 points of contact on the rune hit, and then just everything goes wrong. Like it explodes outward. And the ground shakes. Does that seem like a fair vision?
Yeah, that's super interesting.
Ivana, what does it look like when you consult your ancestors? What does a reliquary look like, and who is it that you have in that jar?
Yeah, I think it's just this little tiny shrine she wears on a chain around her neck, and she pulls it out, sitting in front of whatever fire we have here, right? Like she's sitting by the hearth, and holds the reliquary of ashes out, so she's kind of staring almost through it into the flames, and she's going to call on her great grandfather, whose ashes are in here, who was a devout warrior of the church, and ask for guidance. I think she's still kind of processing what happened in the forest with the battle with that creature, and she wants to know, if these things are beasts that need to be put down, or if there are people in there that could be cured, right? Because it seemed to walk and wield weapons like a human.
And we'll see the shot of you concentrating on this reliquary. We see the fire, and then the camera kind of tilts up when we see that figure there, and it rubs its hands together to put them out to kind of try and get warm, but it clearly can't. And it says, in a very, very dangerous place. It has been broken. It has woken up old guardians. They've not been seen. I know this. The fire is not the only rune, but it's the only one that gifts us. Other runes are dangerous, have their own, and that is what marches here.
So the keepers are responsible for this?
No, the people who were here. And they were trying to hold things together, but I fear now the last tatters of what they could keep back have been broken. You did not know. There was no way you could have.
I have so much to learn still, grandfather.
These things are wrong. Even though they are here as guardians, they are forces of destruction.
Then I know what I must do.
Give me a minute more. And Ziv, do you stay here the evening? I mean, what do we see? The look on you, you're kind of here with your compatriots, your son's mother and your son are elsewhere in this town.
Yeah, no, I go see them as soon as I get a chance.
Okay, so when the others are occupied with sleeping in trees or talking to the fire, you will make your way out. And when you get here, what is her name?
Stav.
Okay. She is glad to see you. She says, it is very dangerous for you to be here.
I had to come. The future of the forest is maybe at stake.
It is. It has been more than you know. The three villages, the tripart of the forest are splintered. The village of Vermilion is gone. All dead. We hear in Crimson we have made our defenses, but then the third from Scarlet, they have joined together with something that has been awoken in the forest. And they have put people to the torch. Can you get our people out? She kind of gestures around. She's clearly talking about this whole village.
Where would you go?
You have lands, right?
Is everyone agreed that that's what they would want? They want to leave?
No, but if you speak to the elder, I'm sure he will see reason.
don't know that he. They seem to want to keep everyone out when this is a time that they need help.
There is no help to be had. This forest is tainted, is polluted. If we stay here, we will be killed. Your son will be killed.
When we leave, you'll come with me, and anyone else who can be convinced to go. But from what I know of the elder, he will not agree to this.
She kind of narrows her brow, tightens her lip. Let us cut forward. Ivana, I heard you were kind of looking at a particular move there.
Oh, I wondered if Ziv wanted to use Voice of the Crowds
Oh, yeah.
to gain some actionable intelligence here.
Right.
That's a good point.
I was thinking about it. If there are downtrodden or persecuted, then
I think we could broaden that. Yeah, I think that there are people in dire trouble. We can play with that.
All right. So then that is a cunning roll. That's a 9.
There's a 9. So on a hit, you learn 1.
Is a secret weakness of the rulers?
So you will think on this. The elder has a great deal of responsibility, and if the villages are split, as seems to be suggested, then even more weight rests on him. And you know that he has been one who is been very much about the status quo and keeping things going. But that's been where there haven't been these kinds of challenges. And you've seen him interact, and someone who could put, a forceful, commanding presence to him could probably shift his attention and shift his support in a different way. He is, if someone would have to be pretty forward and direct. Does that seem fair? And we will cut forward to the morning, and we will see a group arrive. We see their, let me get names again if I can. We see Stav, but we also see a couple of clearly followers on from the Red Forest villages who are clearly people of some import, and the elder. And he is old. He has the close shaven hair, and he has a salt and pepper beard, but it's literally streaked. So it's like alternating white and black beard there. And he's put on some armor and robes to kind of try to establish some position here. And he greets you, Ziv. He knows of you. He calls you by your the name that they've given you here amongst these people. And then he settles himself down and he says, the only reason I am speaking with you is because of Ziv. What is it that the church wants here? Which of you is the priest? Which of you is the warrior? Is it you? Kind of turns to you, Stonia. Are you the scholar?
Yes, in fact, I am.
Then why are you here?
Well, I was actually not on official business for the church, but for the arbiter herself. I have just an important message and offer for you that I hope, in your wisdom, that you and the other elders here will consider.
And why are you here, warrior?
I'm here to protect these hapless folks so that if they encounter another monstrous creature like the one we fled yesterday, uh, they need not become mere meat for the maw of the beast in the process of their ambassadorial mission.
The woods are dangerous. People know that.
Newly so, I hear, in the case of these creatures.
What was the message you brought?
And she I think she like straightens up and tries to look as official as possible, and says, well, the arbiter, Oksana, said that, well, I guess, as you said, everyone knows that the woods are very dangerous and becoming more dangerous every day. And she has already won one war and proven that she can protect the people here. And she wants to offer that same protection to you and everyone here.
The arbiter would bring her forces into the woods to cleanse it of what is here?
Well, she wants to welcome you into the fold to protect you like she protects everyone.
You did not give me a yes or no answer.
If there is danger here, I'm sure that's what would happen.
The church would lend its own swords to make sure the woods could be a place of safety.
And Ziv, what do you say?
The people of Vermilion were not kept safe by keeping the rest of the people of this land out of this forest.
That seems fair. Let us have you roll find common ground here. And I think it's set up such that it's easy for someone to lend assistance. We've got your others there. We'll see after the roll. But let's have you roll with cunning.
Who's rolling? Am I rolling?
That would be you. That would be you, Ziv.
You're
Sounds
the
good.
ambassador.
Yeah, fair enough.
This is the moment,
That's a 10.
It's a 10. So I think it is that you lean in on him and you kind of there's some more back and forth, but you know that his hand is empty.
Yeah, things are bad.
He will say, if you will guide the people of our village of our village to safety, then I will swear an oath to the arbiter. And if she wishes to take back the woods, we will aid her in that. Can you do this?
Yes, we'll lead these people to safety together.
And he will say, I will go and I will tell everyone to ready themselves. We will kind of turns to you, Ivana. We'll summon up our woodsmen and guardsmen. Will you stand with your sword?
I will.
And what of you, priest?
Yeah, and Storina just slowly nods and just like I'll do everything in my power to help, but I feel I have to ask. I mean, we're going to protect you and move these people, absolutely, but I mean, what are we up against? What are these guardians that we ran into last night?
Old things buried in the earth, tied to the runes themselves. We know that the magics of the keepers of the old runes have poisoned the land.
Yeah, I'd hate to be a keeper of the old runes here right now.
And there are broken rune keepers spread throughout. They have finished off 1/3 of us in the woods already.
And I feel she's like trying to hide how that how this is affecting her, I guess.
Okay.
Trying to do a poker face and just like very measured, just like, well, that is terrible news. I'd be interested in seeing one of these and how they're poisoning it. That sounds awful.
If we come out of this, then certainly we will give the arbiter right to bring his people here. Or her people here, or whoever.
Yeah, it might be good, since I'm documenting this, to see any evidence that you have here so I can bring back to them if we have time.
We'll say it depends on Ziv. Can we gather the people? Do you have those who can assist us in leaving?
I mean, we didn't come with a massive force, but I don't know of any reason that we need to move too hastily. Better to be prepared and leave as safely as possible, I think.
Well, I will gather our people, and decisions must be made soon.
No, it should be done quickly, but properly organized, prepared, and I think, Stoina, that gives you some time to see whatever they have before we go, but we're certainly not going to delay our departure on your behalf, so do it quickly.
So I think we can kind of cut to some scenes of the villagers starting to gather things together, the woodsmen gathering them, plotting out, they're not using horses or carts. Essentially, they're carrying what they can on their backs to travel through the trees, and they're gathering all of that together, and it's kind of a chaotic mess. Stonia, what do you want to do? What opportunity do you want to take up during this?
Yeah, I feel like she wants to kind of get to the bottom of this. I guess these keepers that are poisoning, or the poisoned runes, or I guess follow up on any of this.
That sounds like unearthed forgotten lore.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So why don't you roll with lore?
Yeah, perfect. I got an 8.
Okay. So you get to ask one question from unearthed forgotten lore. Unearthed.
Oh, these are interesting questions. I guess what I'm really trying to figure out is whose ancestors are tied to it, I guess. Because I think she doesn't believe that it's the keepers in her heart of hearts.
It feels weird. Like you can feel that there is something of some of the ways of the keepers. And you can tell that maybe something of this intent of this ritual was to find a way to lock the runes away, to protect them. Not protect them, but to protect others from using them or intercepting them. And in the process, they seem to have broken 2 of the great runes. They have broken the runes for beast and for woods. And you think that that may be why there are lycanthropes now breaking out. All of these runes and things are tied to bloodlines and the land and so on. And who knows what the implications are of the cracking of the rune for the woods itself.
Yeah.
Does that sound like a fair answer?
Yeah, absolutely.
Ivana, what are you doing as these people are gathering things together, are pulling themselves, are preparing?
Yeah, I'm just like, grabbing people, being like, who are your best fighters?
So you're kind of pulling together a vanguard here.
Yeah, a crack team of wolf fighters.
Excellent. And this will take a few days. Ziv, what are you doing in the meantime?
How can I be helpful? How well armed are these people?
They're villagers. They have, farming implements, a few blades, simple axes, that kind of thing.
House has a surplus of weaponry. I don't suppose it makes any sense that we would have brought a bunch of that, though.
You have your followers with you. Do you want to?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to bring them? Do you want to essentially tap that surplus to solve the problem?
Sure. How would that work?
Yeah. So what it is one of the rules in the game. One of the mechanics is if you can bring a surplus to bear, you can solve a problem. I mean, if you spend it and kind of give us some fiction for how that would work, then you can solve that problem. It is solved. So how might you?
And the problem in question is the inferior arms of the people of the woods here.
Yeah. do you have, weaponry stored on the ship that's parked outside the woods? Do you have it amongst the followers that you brought with you? What do you think that is?
Yeah, it makes more sense. Maybe, yeah, it's aboard the boat, and my followers are stealthy enough to get there and back.
What kind of
unseen.
weapons do you have stored there? Are they bows? Are they swords? Are they spears?
Well, a bunch of untrained villagers aren't going to be able to use bows. Maybe crossbows.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Crossbows.
we've got
yeah.
plenty of people. Yeah, so if we're they can learn to reload a crossbow and hand it back to whoever's shooting it. And
So we'll see that scene of your outriders, weighed down with these weapons, and they bring them back, and they throw them on the table and they unroll, and there's all the crossbow bits and stuff, and we see the essentially the 7 samurai sort of lineup of the villagers, and we're getting them armed with the bows, and they're trying them out, and they're getting them ready.
Obviously, I'm leading drills.
Yeah.
I mean, they're probably, the villagers are mostly like reloading, but because if you have just like a whole team of people reloading crossbows for you, you can, someone who actually knows.
Oh yeah.
Could just be firing nonstop.
Yeah, so we've put the best hunters in the lead to actually wield the things, and then like each of them has a team of 5, 6 people that are just making sure they're never running short of arrows.
And I think we'll see everybody gather up with, you wait till the day because they're quieter during the day. And then we'll see that march through the woods, and then again, there'll be the baying and there'll be the firing of the arrows. I do think, while I think the spending of the surplus is going to take care of like 95% of the village, I think there has to be that 5% where Ivana is, where what goes wrong, that kind of, you have to hold a breach, Ivana.
It turns out these things are cleverer than we thought, and they like knock down 2 trees, right? And so like there's a moment where our people are like scattering, right, as everything's collapsing here. And so obviously I will stand in the breach to buy time and hold back these creatures.
Let's have you roll fiercely assault.
Yeah.
I think this is a big chance to show off what you can do.
Well, see, would you say this is against countless enemies?
This is against countless enemies.
That's great, because I never suffer disadvantage from being outnumbered, and my melee weapon always has the cleave tag on top of anything else. Yeah, let's see how am I doing on stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and tap another tag here.
Okay.
So I'm gonna tap weird, where my weapon has like something magical about it too. So I think like we see her like ready herself, and then draw the sword across her own hand, and then like her blood on the sword ignites, so that we've got this fiery sword going on.
Let's have you roll.
And yeah, she says, "Come and face me, abominations." 2d6. This is with might. Rolling the die. That's a 9.
That is a 9. Do you call for aid? One of the others could come and help you and push that up to a 10 plus. Right now you are beaten back, under the things. Do you want to look awesome doing this?
Storna, you want to help me out? Add a little ritual mojo in the background here.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. What are you doing?
Let's see. Yeah, I like the yeah. trying to think of a ritual rune that might be interesting to use here. Maybe she just maybe she just is tracing over and over again like the rune for victory, kind of, or safety. Maybe, yeah, safety
Okay.
makes sense.
The sort of shield rune, the protection, safety rune. Okay.
Yeah,
I think you can roll with lore if you want.
yeah, I'll give that a shot. Another 9.
Okay. So 7 and 9 means that we'll boost it up to a 10 plus. So on a 10 plus, you get to choose 2 from the character list, and I choose 1. And I think it looks amazing. We see that shield rune in the background. We see your flaming sword. These things are roaring and coming at you, trying to get past your bastion. You know, you are on that bridge, holding them from getting the last of the villagers here.
Yeah.
What do you want?
I'm gonna inflict savage, terrifying harm and frighten my foes. You know, as this like red sword is flashing, you know, right and left, and I think I'll keep my avenue of escape clear.
That's a
so I
good
can
call.
rejoin the party.
And I think though you'll be able to heal it, but I do think we see bloody savage wounds on both you and Stoina. You know, because they're throwing things, they're barbs. I think we see you come out of this. Neither of you are clean. There's blood coming down of you. Probably the blood is smoking off of you from your fire magics, and we'll see you, and we hear the baying behind as Zev is directing the last of the villagers to get out of the woods, and these things stop at the edge of the woods. They don't go outside. And we'll see you all rushing out, and you've got this village, you've got the elders, and you have successfully, essentially, I mean, it's a double-edged sword for the Arbiter, but you've gotten her an alliance with the folk in the woods. And Ziv, you now have surplus recruits.
What should we mark? Should we mark harm from?
No,
from that?
because I think we're gonna be going up to house level at this point, so I don't think it matters. I just wanted that dramatically to have that blood there.
Cool. Then as we're like, you know, beaten and bloodied and, you know, making our way out, I like clap Stoina on the back and say, "You're not so bad after all, Keeper."
Wait, you thought I was bad before?
And I think that's where we're going to stop for tonight. That gives us a good forward motion on that, and we can figure out where we want to move. Go up to, you know, check in with the houses at that point. Figure out if people want to continue on with the scout down south. I'll check in with I'll check in with him about what's going on with Scott about that, and we'll get that set. Does that sound okay? Do you mind doing a quick stars and wishes?
Not at all.
Okay, let me pause the recording here. Or stop the recording, I guess.